Welcome to the Men After God podcast, where you will be challenged and encouraged as you pursue God, achieve success, and raise a thriving family. Join your host, Dustin, and his guests on a weekly journey to grow as husbands, fathers, and men after God. Here is your host, Dustin Alley.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Men After God podcast. It's your host, Dustin Alley. I am so glad that you're here with us today. Guys, it has been a wonderful experience over the last couple months with our podcast launching on Father's Day of this year, seeing our community grow on Facebook. If you're not part of that podcast community, I encourage you to go to facebook.com/groups/Men After God, and you'll find us there where you can connect directly with me and some of our guests that we've had and get some coaching, find some community as you seek to achieve success with a thriving faith and family. Today's episode is one focusing on rest. Now, we've done one or maybe two other episodes on rest, and we like to bring this topic up from time to time because it's one of the most valuable things that you as a man after God can do. However, it's one of the most neglected things that we have in our lives, especially me being the type A guy that I am. I've got my co-host Craig with me today, but he's dialing in just like a regular guest. Craig, tell everybody where you're at and how you're just lazing around up there.
Yeah, I feel important. I feel like somebody since I'm dialing in now, instead of sitting right beside you. So this is cool. But I am at the Wilds camp, the Wilds of New England in New Hampshire, and I brought the juniors up this week, and so it's been a week. We brought all boys. They've actually been great, and so no homesickness yet that I know of. It's good.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. So where he's at, guys, and you're hearing it there, he's out in the woods. He's living it up in New Hampshire. He's got some cars driving by on the road out there. And the juniors, what is it, 4th through 6th grade? Is that who you took up there?
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
Preteens.
That's right. I got to drive one of the cars up there, and I've got to come up and pick them up this weekend. Mine weren't too bad, but I tell you, man, middle school ministry was never my thing.
Yeah, you put in the van I rode up in, we had a TV and a DVD player, so
that's cheating.
That really helped our vehicle.
That's cheating is what that is. I'm switching cars. I'm going to let y'all drive my truck back. I'll drive the
Do
van.
it. Minivans are awesome.
And then I'm going to let one of the juniors drive so I can just sit in the back and watch whatever I put on.
Does Tesla not have a minivan yet that drives you?
Oh, man. They've got an SUV, but I don't think they have a minivan. And if you're a person that drives a Tesla, I'd love to talk to you because I like Teslas. And if you want to give one away, I'd like to talk to you too. Yeah, man. So listen, rest. You are the one that's always telling me I need to rest. We've said that before. You're up there. Are you able? We're going to talk about two different types of rest. We're going to talk about valuable rest, and we're going to talk about invaluable rest, right? And we'll go through the difference of the two, because you might be like me, guys, and you're someone who can find rest or you enjoy doing certain things. Like I enjoy my work. So I enjoy podcasting. I enjoy talking to people about it. I enjoy trying to get guests or, writing stuff. I enjoy the work I do as a pastor. That's always fun. Craig absolutely loves what he does as a pastor. That's why he's there in New Hampshire. Just the faint
Amen.
laugh.
Amen.
Yeah. But But that type of rest where I'm resting while I'm working, that's not as valuable as it could be. And some could say it's invaluable. So Craig, what are your thoughts when you think about two different types of rest, valuable and invaluable? You got any ways to describe that or any stories you can give us that would kind of illustrate both?
Yeah. First, I want to ask the question, what's the difference between valuable and invaluable? Is invaluable like of more value, or is it the opposite of valuable?
Opposite of valuable.
Like famous and infamous.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's a great. Unvaluable? Is that a word?
I don't think so. But I think invaluable is also referring to the same thing. I don't know. And now I feel silly.
So here's what we're going to say. We're going to say, for the sake of this conversation today, if you are a person who's read the dictionary or someone who knows the answer to this, feel free to reach out and let us know. But for the purpose of today's conversation, the valuable is good. Invaluable means not good. And now we have defined the term for ourselves. We get to create our own pronouns
Right.
now. And so
All right. So now that we've got that taken care of, what was the question?
how would you describe, or how would you differentiate between valuable rest and invaluable rest that has lack of value, to be very clear? And do you have any stories to kind of illustrate the two there?
Yeah. We went on vacation the end of June. And by we, I mean my wife, myself, and our 4 kids. And we went to a family reunion. And it was great to see the family. Guys, I messed up. I put gum in my mouth and forgot that I had it. So if you hear some ASMR stuff, that's what's going on.
Oh, that's great.
I'm trying to like tuck it in the cheek over
There
here.
you go.
Anyway, so we went to this family reunion, and it was great, and it was fun. I had gone there feeling stressed, feeling a little unrested, needing a rest, needing a vacation, needing a break. And while it did provide a break from the routine that I was used to in life, it did not provide the rest that I was looking for. We were up early, up late, little sleep, taking care of the kids, kind of running around in a new environment with a new routine. And it was, wow.
I don't know if
Pick where they're going to mow the barn.
I don't know if James is going to be able to edit that one out.
All right. He drove away.
That's good.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so we went to this family reunion, and just so much going on that by the time everything was said and done and we got back home, we needed a vacation from our vacation.
Yeah.
So that's an example of not getting a rest that would be valuable.
Yeah, and
helpful.
Let's stay on it for just a minute, because I want to highlight, like, where he went on vacation was Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge area of Tennessee, up in a cabin up there. Had a beautiful cabin. It's had your own pool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean,
pool, hot tub, the works.
And there's a lot of stuff to do. If you guys have never been to Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge, it's a wonderful place to vacation, even with the family and things. So it wasn't the place Craig went to that kept him from having that, right? I mean, the place was wonderful. You could really say that was like a little oasis out there. So it wasn't the place.
Correct.
So, I mean, what was it? You mentioned some of the things you did, but I mean, if you had to go back and you were going to say, like, I want to go back, I don't want to have this vacation in a restful way, how would you have approached that vacation differently?
Well, I would have taken 2 weeks instead of 1.
Yeah, always.
First.
If you can, take 2 weeks. 1 week's never enough.
Right. Even though in that 1 week, the family reunion was only 3-4 days, I think 3 nights, 4 days, something like that. And so we had a couple of days to ourselves, but that was traveling, and traveling for me is not rest.
Yeah.
That's me personally. So I would have taken 2 weeks, and that second week, we would have found some things to do as a family and with the kids. And then I guess in our situation, because anywhere you go with kids, you want to make sure they're entertained, they have something to do. We probably would have come back home early and just taken those few days to just be at the house. The kids know what they can and can't do at the house. Mom and I can just sit back and relax, watch TV. I might jump on the PlayStation, something like that. But that would be how I would have taken a proper rest had I thought that through beforehand.
Right. So next year, I got to prepare for you taking a 2-week vacation. Got it. All right.
Correct.
Now, so that was invaluable for you. It had lack of value. So again, just for clarification purposes. And what about a time like where you've had valuable rest?
So valuable rest for me, and again, there's different types of rest. You've got your physical, your mental, your spiritual, those type things. Being here at camp, I'm getting 2 of those. The mental and the spiritual rest. The physical rest, not so much. I'm staying in a cabin in the woods. I was worried there was no AC, but there's a fan in there, and it gets really cool at night.
That's good.
It's a different bed.
Yeah.
It's a different type mattress. I'm not used to it. I'm almost 40 years old. My body just doesn't sleep anywhere now. And guys, I'm not getting as much physical.
And he's being gracious. Like, I've seen pictures of this thing. This is not a cabin. This is a shack. He's in a shanty. He's in a shanty in the woods. and is making the best of it. And we're happy. We're thankful
Right.
for his positivity. And there's the
For
mower.
sure. Yeah. I think he's driving across the street.
Yeah. He needs to
All
go
right.
rest is what he needs to do. And so
Yeah. So, but beside the physical aspect, I have time throughout the day. You know, I can knock out some work by coming over to the actual campsite and finding the Wi-Fi. I can knock out some work and do things like that. But then I have free time. All the kids are with their own personal counselors, and so they're watching the kids. I'm really just here to kind of be a representative from the church, and so I really have a lot of the day to myself. And there's a I don't want to call it a river. Let's call it a creek back behind the shed that I'm staying in, and it's a place that I've gone every day and just uh, prayed, read God's word, and just took some time to just think. And it's got some running water, which for me, hearing running water, that's great white noise. I could sleep to that if it wasn't for the mosquitoes.
yeah.
I would be out there sleeping instead of in the shed. But it's been awesome to just get away, to be in nature, and to not have any of the pressures. Like I can just forget everything else because surrounded by trees. I don't see the buildings. I don't hear the kids. It's just me, the water, and God. And for me, that has really helped kind of calm my mind, and spiritually speaking, just help me focus more. You know, you ever have those times where you do your personal devotions and you just can't focus, like you're not getting anything out of it, and
Right.
it's because of all these distractions. That's not the case. I can really hone in and get something from my time with God. So
That's awesome.
that's an example of me having a real rest that's just been really impactful and needed.
Yeah. Can you don't have to share a lot of that. I know you made a post on Facebook, but and you don't have to talk about that if you want to, but I'd love to hear like the impact of that, because for our guys listening, again, if you're like me and you're a go-getter, you're trying to achieve success in life. So that to the glory of God with a thriving faith and family, you've got a lot of things going on, a lot of stuff that can distract you. And why should we, what's the impact of that real rest that you're getting right now?
I think it's refocusing. For me, the last few months, I have been stressed, and I think I even mentioned it right off the bat before we went on vacation. I talked about needing it because I've been stressed and I couldn't really put my finger on what it was.
Right.
And it wasn't until my first day here that I got alone with God and I just sat down by the creek and just prayed and kind of talked it out with Him, that it kind of hit home for me. Several things that were bothering me the last few months that I didn't realize exactly what they were. One of them being just self-doubt. I've always struggled with self-doubt. I could go into why in my past and so forth, but that would take another podcast episode.
Series when we do that. And so
There you go. But the self-doubt, there was I realized that I'm looking back and just letting Satan dig up those past failures. I'm looking back at things in my past that weren't great, some times that were very hurtful, and then I realized that I've been comparing myself to other people and finding where they thrive in an area where I don't, and it's all subconscious. I'm not consciously thinking of this stuff all the time.
right.
And just sitting there alone with God, all these things were coming to my mind, and I realized, some of this is an attack from the enemy, and or all of it, and I'm letting him in. I let him creep in slowly but surely to where it just became so overbearing that um, I don't know what the next move was going to be.
Yeah.
Had I not had that moment by the creek.
That's awesome, man. That's so good. And that, what you're talking about there, guys, this is where that rest comes in. It sounds like you had that opportunity for, God to really just pick apart your own heart, and you get to be there for the experience. Right.
Right.
And that helps us he mentioned focus. I like to say as well, we get that God-sized perspective. We can take God's perspective on our situations rather than just ours. And that's where, we get a lot of wisdom, and we're able to really assess and move forward with what He's seeing rather than just what we're seeing. And of course, it can always be cloudy. It can always still be a little foggy at times, but you'll gain a lot of clarity when you choose to take that time of rest and have that soul rest, that spiritual rest that Craig mentioned there. Man, you're again, you've always said you're one that talks to me about rest and stuff. But the one thing I've started doing is, the no cell phone on Saturdays. Now, this Saturday is
Yeah.
going to be interesting. I have a feeling this Saturday I'm going to be with my cell phone because I'm supposed to drive back from New Hampshire for 3 hours
hmm
with kids. So I'm going to be playing some music. I'm going to be using my GPS. Like I'm going to have my phone on me in a more than I have just the past couple weeks. But the past couple weeks, it's been really cool. And you were there with me the first day that I didn't have my phone on me because that was rest for me. But man, it was weird. Like we were hanging out at our friend's house, and you guys, I'm telling you, like when you were like me and you think constantly, and you're like, oh, I wonder what this would do, or I wonder if I could Google this, or what could I
hmm
find online, or you're mid conversation and you're trying to think of something, or the other person says something like, oh yeah, let me show you, and man, I was reaching for my phone so many times, and I had nothing, and Craig's over there just googling and laughing at me. Good friend, he's a great
Oh
friend
yeah,
there,
that's
but
what I do.
yeah, and so for me, not having that cell phone the first week was, I don't know if I'd call it spiritual rest, but it was definitely a reality check for myself personally of how consumed I am with that. And then, I had the comment made by our friend before we left their house, like, hey, just so you know, you've not had your phone. I've just noticed you've been a lot more present and more real. I'm like, oh,
hmm
that's great. Thanks for that, because you just gave ammo to my wife and Craig and Amy and everyone
Oh
around
yeah,
me to, like, you're not really being
yep.
present right now. Yeah, no, I know I'm going to hear it. And so, because that's something I struggle with, right? But that's been helpful for me to rest my mind. When it comes to that spiritual rest you're talking about, Craig, man, do you think, so you're coming back, right? You're coming back here, right? You're coming back, just so we're clear. Yeah. Okay,
Yes,
good, good.
yes. I
He's
need
coming
my
back.
bed.
He's at least for the bed, not so much the job, but for the bed. Good, good, good.
Right.
So, all right, we're gonna keep that thing on lock and key. But so you're coming back. You've had this rest. Like I chose to do without my cell phone on Saturdays, kind of see how that would go for me. You've had this experience now where you've been by the creek. It's spent that time with God. Like, have you thought about how you could bring that back with you and implement that on a weekly basis?
Yes. Before I talk about that, for you subscribers,
Yeah.
and if you're not a subscriber, in the subscriber portion of this episode, I'll share a story that's also helped this week,
Mm.
but I won't share that here. Anyway, so it has to do with my wife,
Yeah, we got to keep that
just
one.
to put a little teaser out
Only
there.
a few
Yeah,
of you, right? Only those that go to
right.
patreon.com/men after God sign up can hear that one, and what is it? The practical way that you can apply that in your life.
There you go. So, in bringing this back home, um, first of all, that refocus I was talking about, I'm able to refocus on God, on my identity in Christ, and I was also able to see the problems, see what it was that was bothering me. So going back, I now know, okay, these things were what were holding me down. These are the weights, some of which I'm still carrying because I'm stubborn and I've not given it all to God yet. Um, but these are the things that I'm struggling and dealing with. So now I know what I'm working with, and when I go back, I'll be a little more alert when the enemy is attacking in those areas, but also more challenged to when I'm feeling like I have been these past few months to just do what you're doing, Dustin, basically, and get rid of the distractions.
Mhm.
Just find a day, because it honestly it didn't even take a day. It took probably an hour
Yeah.
sitting in nature, and it doesn't have to be nature. I mean, if you have a prayer closet, jump in there, but just being away from distractions for an hour and talking with God. And in that hour is kind of when, conversations with friends here and there, and God used those things to speak to me. It just all came to a culmination to show me, hey, this is what's going on, and this is what you need to do to deal with it.
Mhm.
And so that's going to be something that I'll implement. I'd say, God forbid that it happen again, but of course it's going to happen again. We have an enemy that's looking to devour us.
Right.
So the next time that I'm stressed, I'm going to take time,
Yeah.
and I'm just going to lose all the distractions and refocus, and Can you say recenter, or does that sound too
Too
Hinduish,
new agey.
Hinduistic?
I'm not sure, but
Too new age?
definitely a good
Yeah.
thing. Craig and I have a conversation often about little sayings that people say, right? And Craig, every time we talk about this, right, like I don't know if I could put you on the spot if you know one like off the top of your head, but I can usually can't like think of one in the moment to describe
Right.
it. But I did, I did think of something while you were talking. I was like, I don't know if I can say it or whatever because I don't want it to come off as like that. But honestly, guys, listen up. As Craig was talking there, and I was thinking of the own distractions and having to remove those. Whenever we are distracted, we're often not being dependent. And if we are distracted by the things going on around us, what Satan has put in front of us, and the attacks and different things like that, then we're not being dependent upon Christ. We can take notice of them, but then we have to turn them over to the one who can handle them. I'm a big John Maxwell fan, if you haven't figured out yet. And Maxwell says he does 5 things every day, and I can't remember all 5 of them, but I know one of them is interesting because we don't consider it often. He says, "I think." And he's written in books and he's talked from the stage before about how he has a chair either in his office or at his house. It's his thinking chair. And that's what he does. He goes there and he thinks, and he does what Craig was just talking about. He sits down and he just thinks. Now John is a Christian and he's a follower of Christ. And so I believe it's probably a spiritual exercise for him. But what Craig's talking about doing is coming back and setting aside time to think and to focus and to reflect upon God and to allow those distractions to, be examined in light of who his heavenly Father is. Guys, we got to make time for that. That's good soul rest. He talked about mental, physical, like spiritual. That's soul rest right there, man. Craig, I love that you've been up there and been able to have that opportunity to do that. Man, I can't wait for you to get back and just see how much you've grown and hear you write a book about it. I know that's going to be great.
Well, they are feeding
So,
me carbs only, so I've grown a
carbs
little
only.
bit.
Oh man. Oh man. I don't even want to go there right now.
Yeah.
Oh, so guys, like, let's finish this conversation out here real quick. Just talking about how, we the importance of rest, the value of it. It can change your entire circumstances if you'll just step away for a minute and just breathe. I was listening to Grant Cardone's 10X book this week, and as Craig knows me, I'm very type A, and he sent me a funny little meme of like stopping and sniffing the flowers with a type A and type B person. The type B person says, "You need to stop and sniff the flowers." The type A person turns around, sniffs the flowers, and then is holding up a trophy that says "World's Best Flower Sniffer."
Yeah.
And so that just, I was really. Yeah, I was listening to Grant Cardone's 10X book whenever that was happening. And if you know anything about Grant Cardone, it's definitely type A, go-getter, like everything. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, and if you listen to the book, he really speaks of this, but he doesn't directly go after it. That 10X principle he teaches of doing everything with 10X effort, having 10X goals and things of that nature, that's not bad. However, we have to take that, what we would do for business, what we do for work, we have to do for the Lord, and we have to do for our family as well. We can't neglect that. So 10X your rest, 10X your time with your family, 10X what refreshes you so that you can, on a weekly basis, be right where Craig's talking about being at, just refocused, recentered on what God is doing in your heart and through your life and with those that are around you. So Craig, man, finish it up, bro. We got a few more minutes.
Mhm.
Talk to us. What's something we need to
Yeah.
walk away with from this?
Well, I'll tell you a big part of this, besides just getting away alone with God and refocusing, has been having good people around you and friends that you can. I'd say that you can talk to. I think we all need people we can talk to, but in my case, I'm holding it in. I was holding it in more than I was sharing, and having friends that were speaking into my life. And in the moments that they were saying something to me, I wasn't really grasping the truth that they were presenting, and maybe they didn't even realize that they were pouring into me at the time. But in that moment of, and I'll use a spiritual word, in that moment of meditation by the creek, God used some of those things to just bring it all together. And so walk away with this. Have friends in your life that you pour into, but that will pour back into you. And friends that love you, friends that care about you, people around you that are watching out for your spiritual well being.
That's good, man. That's so good. Spend time with them. Spend time resting. Guys, we are going to do our subscriber only content here in just a minute. And to remind you, if you'd like to subscribe to the podcast, right now we have our founding member package. You can get 10% lifetime discount, a free piece of merchandise from our store, your choice. You get 4 free coaching calls with me, a coaching call with you get 1 coaching call with each of our coaches that are specialized in training and nutrition, relationships, and finances. And you also get the shout out on Facebook, here on the podcast, and then on our website. We love our founding members. We're thankful for all of them right now, and we are excited for what God is doing with their financial support and obviously your prayer support. So guys, take this week, get some rest, enjoy what God is doing in your heart and through your life. And don't forget, it's not wrong to step away from what you're doing as an act of worship to God. And so I do hope you'll take advantage of this opportunity. All right. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Men After God podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes, and keep up with the show by following us at facebook.com/menaftergod. You can also reach out to Dustin personally at dustin@seekconsulting.us with any questions or for coaching on being a man after God. Until next time.